I knew something had gone wrong the moment the throne room went silent. 100 alien nobles, tall, iridescent, and sharp-eyed, had been speaking at once, their voices like chimes striking crystal. Then I finished my sentence, and the sound vanished as if the universe itself had drawn a breath. The translators embedded behind my ears hummed faintly, struggling to keep up with the emotional spike flooding the chamber. "I choose you," I said again, carefully, looking straight at the one being no one expected me to look at. Queen Esseleth. Her crown dimmed from royal violet to a shocked white. That was when I realized history had just tilted. 6 months earlier, humanity hadn't even known the Cathari Imperium existed. We were still arguing among ourselves borders, tariffs, ideology, when their ships arrived in orbit like patient gods. No invasion, no demands. Just a single message broadcast in every human language at once. "We have watched you. We wish to speak." They didn't want our resources. They didn't want our planets. What they wanted was perspective. The Cathari were ancient, brilliant, and stagnating. Their empire spanned a third of the Orion Arm, yet they hadn't produced a cultural breakthrough in centuries. According to them, humanity was chaotic, inefficient, and disturbingly creative. They sent observers, then diplomats, then, finally, an invitation. One human, chosen to participate in an ancient Cathari ritual known as the choosing. That human was me. I wasn't a soldier or a politician. I was a xenolinguist, good with patterns, decent under pressure, and apparently psychologically resilient. That last part was why the Cathari chose me. The choosing was meant to bind a species closer to the Imperium. Traditionally, the guests selected one among the Cathari elite to act as a lifelong cultural bridge, an advisor, partner, sometimes more. Everyone assumed I'd pick a noble. No one assumed I'd pick the queen. The choosing was a spectacle. The throne room alone could have swallowed a football stadium. Bioluminescent pillars rose like frozen lightning, each one representing a Cathari bloodline. Before me stood 12 candidates, scientists, generals, philosophers, each adorned with symbols of their achievements. They were beautiful in an alien way, tall, multi-limbed, their skin shifting colors with their moods. Queen Esseleth sat above them all, elevated on a living dais grown from crystal and flesh. She was not a candidate. She was the embodiment of continuity, the keeper of tradition. And she looked tired. That was the first thing I noticed. The candidates spoke one by one. They promised stability, knowledge, access to Cathari technology beyond human imagination. They spoke of guiding us gently, of shaping humanity into something greater, though always within Cathari frameworks. Their words were polished, perfect, and hollow. While they spoke, I watched the queen. Her colors never shifted. Her eyes followed every exchange with the weight of centuries. When the candidates spoke about humanity, they spoke about us. When she listened, she looked at me. When it was time for me to choose, the High Arbiter extended a blade of light toward me. "Select," it said, "and bind your people's future." That was when I understood the real purpose of the choosing. The Cathari weren't offering partnership. They were outsourcing risk. By binding humanity to one of their elites, they ensured we would be guided, limited, and, eventually, absorbed. We would inherit their stagnation along with their power. It was subtle, elegant, and terrifying. Humanity didn't survive by being elegant. We survived by being stubborn. So I looked past the candidates and up at the throne. "I choose the one who already bears the weight of consequence," I said. "The one who cannot hide behind ambition." The room erupted in alarmed color flashes. "I choose the queen." Queen Esseleth rose slowly. No one spoke. No one could. The ritual had never allowed such a choice. I could feel the translators overheating as overlapping protocols fought each other. The High Arbiter's form flickered, its light unstable. "The Queen is not an option," it said. "She is the only option," I replied. My heart hammered, but my voice stayed steady. If humanity is to be bound to the Imperium, it must be to someone who answers to everyone, not someone who seeks to gain. Silence stretched. Then the Queen laughed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel. It was relieved. "So," she said, descending from the throne, "the unpredictable ones finally bare their teeth." The council tried to stop it. Legal codes were cited. Ritual law was dissected down to the molecular level. But the choosing was older than the Imperium itself, and its core rule was simple. The guest's choice is sovereign. Queen Esileth accepted the bond, not as a ruler binding a subject, but as an equal stepping into uncertainty. That single act shattered centuries of political maneuvering. And for the first time in generations, the Ketheri had no idea what would happen next. The bond didn't make us telepathic or magically aligned. What it did was force honesty. The Queen and I were required to meet daily, to exchange unfiltered perspectives. No courtly masks. No translation smoothing. Just raw intent and meaning, mind to mind, mediated by Ketheri biotech that made lying uncomfortable. She showed me the Imperium's fear of change, the revolts narrowly avoided, the innovations suppressed because they disrupted balance. I showed her humanity's mess, our wars, our art, our constant reinvention through failure. "You burn so brightly," she told me once, her colors swirling with something like awe. "And you accept the ashes as part of the fire." "We don't have a choice," I said. "Stagnation kills us faster than chaos." That idea unsettled her more than any rebellion ever had. Change came quickly. The Queen began inviting humans, not just diplomats, but engineers, artists, even philosophers, to Ketheri worlds. Not as subjects, as collaborators. When the council objected, she reminded them that she was now bound by the choosing too. If humanity was to be understood, it had to be experienced. Ketheri technology began to shift. Where once systems were perfected and frozen, now they became modular, adaptable. Risk returned to the Imperium. So did innovation. Some nobles hated me for it. A few tried to have me removed for the good of interstellar harmony. They failed, not because I was protected, but because Queen Esileth let their schemes play out publicly. "Observe," she told the council, "how humans respond to threats." The answer was, together. The real test came 2 years later. An extragalactic entity, something ancient and devouring, entered Imperium space. The Ketheri response was cautious delay, endless analysis, the hope that the problem would resolve itself. Humanity didn't wait. We proposed a plan that involved untested weapons, coordinated sacrifice, and something the Ketheri found horrifying, accepting losses before they happened. Queen Esileth stood with us. Against her own council. The battle was brutal. Entire fleets were lost. But the entity was destroyed, not merely pushed back. For the first time in recorded history, the Imperium faced annihilation and survived through decisive action, through human action. Afterward, the Queen addressed her people. "Stability preserved us," she said, her voice echoing across 1,000 worlds. But it did not prepare us. Humanity did not save us because they are stronger or wiser. They saved us because they are willing to act when certainty is impossible.